Kono Bangumi wa Gurando sponsor Bandai Nam or something like that. Teikyo de okurishimasa. Okay, I fluffed it. One Punch Man Season 3, Episode 3 finally showcased some real action, you can say, and it was decent, but it was rough. Well, I feel like there's parts of the episode that looked pretty good, but I think there's another aspect that was lacking. Not so lacking, but definitely not up to beat, you can say. This episode's direction was not it, and it's also in the action department. The editing was lackluster, some cuts didn't really add up, and probably the PV from a year ago felt a bit better. I do think in terms of movement, there's more, the most probably this season, but a lot of the other factors had its shortcomings that made the episode a bit awkward to watch. This episode finished chapter 89 and almost all of chapter 90. You know, I do this segment like I do with my soul leveling, but like OPM season 3, there's literally nothing to talk about the manga since it's 1-to-1, which is unfortunate. I do think Naga is doing this because of time constraints, so he's doing this for the sake of completion, which is unfortunate because how this production is so handicapped. But there's some weird decisions in episode 3. Before actually going to the staff and the episode itself, there's another thing that happened. The Chinese. Oh shit. This episode was an outsourced episode to AAA. This is not a rarity for JC Staff because JC Staff overproduce more anime that they could handle. So of course they have subcontracted studios like AAA. They also did 3 episodes in 2.5D. Fujishiro Project and JC Staff. AAA is a parent company of C2C, but this studio rely a lot on outsourcing to Chinese studios. So basically, JC Staff outsourced the episode to AAA. Then they also outsource it to random Chinese studios. That's why the credits had a lot of Chinese names. This is consistent with the other episodes that is outsourced to AAA. If you don't know what outsourcing means, it's basically they outsource most of the animation stuff. So production, like animation direction, in between, second KA, layout, maybe, but the episode director and storyboarder, photography, all sorts are still the same people. Of course, there's exceptions when they do outsource all of that. The episode is storyboarded by, you guessed it, Shinpei Nagai, and directed by Masahito Otanu and Shuji Miyazaki. The AD list is inflating hella this episode. We have 10 ADs and 1 assistant AD. So that's very worrying, of course, because I had more movement than before, but 10 for these stuff? Yikers. The action moved, but it was broken. Not mainly the first fight with Garou, but the second one. Both fights had their own issues. The first one moved well in the animation standpoint because they used the pre-anime trailer for the fight, but this PV was only meant for the trailer, not for an actual episode. So to make it make sense, they had to stitch up the fight with adding more scenes here and there, but the final product was not the best. Again, from an animation standpoint, it looks decent, but overall how the fight was structured, it was poorly executed. The editing was pretty bad, some weird decision of removing some cuts from the PV that could have been good if it stayed in, because they put these scenes together which a portion of it doesn't fit to the episode, so they tried to make it make sense, but the final product was not good. Although Royal Ripper fucking slicing and dicing Garou, folding this motherfucker was really nice. Love the weighty animation of Ripper swinging his sword from the timing. From the timing, I don't think this is Aoki, so it's probably one of the other animators. There is some animators that have notable work that's working on this episode, but too bad this episode was hella broken. Same with this hair animation, which looks very smooth. Judging from this shot of Garou, I do think this is the uncorrected drawing from the animator, since this is different from the usual Garou, although sometimes he also looks off model. The drawing feels different, like this shot. I don't know if it's Kagenashi or not. I'm not looking at the shot right now. The second fight was even worse. The flow was a bit better because they didn't cram in a scene that was not supposed to be in the episode. But time crunch, blah blah blah, penis ball sacks. The problem is the animation. There's some sparks of nice looking cuts, but between those cuts are limited broken janky movements. It's pretty obvious they wanted this to be a bit ambitious, but the animation couldn't keep up. Lack of in-betweening. They definitely butchered the original layout for the scene since they didn't have time to polish it. Again, you can see some neat stuff. It's very webgen energy, but yeah, no. Good storyboards can't be realized if the animation is not there, and if the boards aren't ambitious, the animator can't flex their animation because they are restricted to very mediocre boards. Of course, you can tweak it. Like, I did see a tweet from Nagai that Aoki did change some stuff in the action scenes in episode 2. Now, the overall dialogue stuff, mouth moving, going blah 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 blah. At first, the interaction with Zombie Man and Dr. Genus didn't really look off much. Yeah, people will complain about they showcasing the monsters like sliding, which I don't really see that big of a problem. They do it in season 1 too. The problem is some of the drawings looks bad. Especially this big guy from season 1 episode 1. The perspective is off. I mean, look at the hand. Zahandoga! I do think the comedy part still hits for me. I like the change of style, like the shot of Saitama being depressed. Most of the dialogue stuff is stiff in some parts, while the drawing quality had inconsistencies. Like these cuts, it does work a bit since this is a funny moment thing, but my problem for this whole episode is the direction. But maybe more accurately, the editing. I feel like every scene, when it cuts to different scenes, it feels very fast. Like one person talking, then it straight away just to another person talking in another place. Same with this decision to remove this shot of Saitama that was moving in the PV, but in the episode it didn't move. I get it, they're trying to do with highlighting this part, and then, you know, they changed the focus to this, but nah. Here's an example. Like me talking right now, I cut a lot because I mess up a lot since I am a retard. But probably for you guys, most of the time, it doesn't feel like that. Here, I'll do it. This is the problem with the episode. So, One Punch Man Season 3 has been looking very different. Overall, I think this doesn't look like the worst, but something feels off, and some feel like my dick going Mach 20 into your mother. Like, you see what I'm saying? They don't hold it for like a bit, like this shot. I wish they waited a bit when the music hit the last beat, then cut. I know it's nitpicking, but I summarize most people's problems about it. This could be also because of the episode being outsourced, so, you know, communication's not gonna be great. And probably since it is an outsourced episode, the time was maybe worse than the first two. If this continues on for the most important stuff this season, shit gonna be ass. I know what the content it's gonna cover. It's gonna be hard to adapt. They'll use CG for the big people. I mean, we haven't seen much, if not any CG usage, even for background, so Nagai might not be talking about these stuff. Maybe later on. Again, there's some stuff I didn't talk about, like, yeah, usual art direction good, sharp color palette contrast, nice. I'm not gonna repeat it again and again. Hopefully they save most of the resources in the second half, but the only miracle that could happen for this project is a delay, but we all know that won't happen. If you guys like this video, leave a like. If you hate it, leave a like. Comment down below what your thoughts about this episode, and yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the video. See you guys next time.